Russia said it downed hundreds of drones over its territory, including about 60 over the Leningrad region Tuesday night, in a Ukrainian attack as a major economic forum gets underway. St. Petersburg Governor Alexander Beglov said 3 districts were targeted as part of an overnight Ukrainian drone assault that wounded several people and damaged infrastructure facilities.
The Supreme Court, SC, has announced a summer vacation arrangement for 2026, under which judges will spend more time hearing cases at the court's principal seat in Islamabad to help improve judicial efficiency and accelerate the disposal of pending cases. According to a statement issued by the Supreme Court's Public Relations Department, the decision was made after consultations among judges at the request of the Chief Justice of Pakistan.
Federal Minister for Communications Abdul Aleem Khan has approved the construction of a new motorway via Mansehra, Kaghan, Naran, Jalakand Highway KKH. The approval was granted during a meeting of the National Highway Authority, NHA, which reviewed ongoing and proposed infrastructure projects. Communications Secretary and NHA Chairman retired Capt. Asadullah Khan also attended the meeting. In the face of austerity measures calling for shopping malls and the cinemas they house to close early, actor Fahad Mustafa has requested the government of Punjab theatres to give people time to watch films. In an open letter to the province's senior minister, Mariam Aurangzeb, the actor contended that many moviegoers are busy with other things earlier in the day, so some audiences were only able to attend screenings later in the evenings. Pope Leo heads to Spain on Saturday for a week-long tour, his first visit to a European Union EU country outside Italy, which will culminate with the pontiff meeting migrants in the Canary Islands who braved dangerous Atlantic waters to enter Europe. Leo, who drew the ire of US President Donald Trump after criticizing his anti-immigration policies, is expected to attract large crowds on the June 6 to 12 visit and will also be the first pope to address the Spanish Parliament.
Idris Elba and Meera Syal were among a number of British stars to receive honours from King Charles at Windsor Castle on Tuesday. Elba was knighted for services to young people. Syal, the actor and comedian known for the Kumars at No 42, was recognised for her services to literature, drama and charity.
7 people have been killed and 11 others injured in a drone attack on a passenger bus travelling through a Russia-controlled part of Ukraine. An official said Denis Pushilin, the Kremlin-installed leader of Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region, said the bus was hit in the early hours of Wednesday as it was travelling between Moscow and Simferopol, Russian-occupied Crimea.
As the US-Israel war on Iran entered its 96th day, the conflict widened across the Gulf region, with both sides reporting new military actions. The United States military said on Wednesday it carried out self-defense strikes on Iran's Qeshm Island, while Iranian media reported explosions in the area.
Japan's stock market has hit an all-time high as a global buying frenzy driven by AI shows no signs of slowing down. The Nikkei 225 rose nearly 3% on Wednesday, lifting the benchmark index above 68,000 for the first time. Lionel Messi trained on his own during Argentina's first practice session at their base camp in the United States, where the squad has assembled for their World Cup preparations this week. The defending World Cup champions held their first pre-tournament training in Kansas City on Monday.
The US Trade Representative has proposed new duties targeting 60 economies, including Pakistan and India, for alleged failures to act against forced labor, as the Trump administration seeks to rebuild its tariff agenda following legal setbacks. The proposed tariffs range from 10% to 12.5 PC, according to a government filing, and they will undergo a public comment period before a final decision is made.
Rebecca Bennett has won a high-stakes Democratic Party primary in the U.S. state of New Jersey, setting up a contest against Republican Tom Keene Jr., backed by President Donald Trump for one of the most competitive seats in the upcoming midterm elections. Bennett, a former U.S. Navy helicopter pilot, defeated 3 Democratic rivals in New Jersey's 7th congressional district, securing about 47.2% results on Tuesday, according to projected results on Tuesday.
As the government prepares the budget for FY27, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's meeting with the country's leading businessmen on Monday offered a glimpse of the wide gap that exists between the two sides' perception of Pakistan's economic recovery. While the businessmen pressed their case for tax relief, faster refunds and deeper economic reforms, Mr. Sharif boasted of the stability his government had pulled off and his intention of converting recovery into growth. The government's narrative is simple. After saving Pakistan from a likely sovereign default, restoring macroeconomic stability, reducing inflation and complying with the IMF programme, officialdom believes the foundation for sustained recovery has been laid. PM Sharif argued that the next phase would focus on growth. He did not say when. But the businessman's proposals suggest that much of the private sector is unconvinced that the investment climate has improved.
White, the tail that is wagging the dog, aptly describes the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. The reality is that America is fighting Israel's war. The Zionist state not only acts as a spoiler, but also effectively dictates the terms of war and peace in the region. A recent example of this is Israel's military escalation in Lebanon, which has not only complicated diplomatic efforts to resolve the US-Iran conflict, but has also broadened the theater of war. Despite President Donald Trump's claims of having halted the conflict, the war continues. Israeli forces have occupied a significant portion of Lebanon, and relentless bombings have devastated Beirut, effectively undermining the US-brokered ceasefire. Funding and regular funding is what Pakistani women athletes say they need most to compete internationally. Talent alone, they point out, cannot take them to the world stage. It must be backed by quality equipment, top-notch coaching, proper training facilities, nutrition, and the means to travel and compete. For most athletes, both male and female, except those supported by the departmental sports system, such as the Pakistan Army, WAPDA, the Higher Education Commission, National Bank, Pakistan Railways, police and airlines, the struggle begins long before competition day, finding the resources simply to stay in the game. State patronage is limited, private sponsorship even scarcer, and for women, almost non-existent.
A Tunisian court has handed down sentences ranging from 10 years to life against opposition leader Rached Ghannouchi and dozens of other defendants in the so-called secret apparatus case involving the Ennahda party. The Tunis Court of First Instance on Tuesday sentenced Ghannouchi, the leader of Ennahda and a former parliamentary speaker, to life in prison plus 30 years on terrorism-related charges, to life in prison, 30 years official news agency. Tunisia's official freak press, Tunisia's
The Balochistan National Party, BNP Mengal, on Tuesday condemned an alleged raid on the home of a senior party leader and their subsequent detention and demanded their immediate release. During a press conference, BNP Mengal senior vice president advocate Sajid Tareen alleged that following a clash between security forces and armed elements in the Bulbul area of Zehri, personnel entered the residence of Sardar Nasir Ahmed Muziani.
Islamabad. The Supreme Court has upheld a sentence awarded to a child rapist and a murderer, ruling that individuals who voluntarily become intoxicated cannot claim exemption from criminal liability. Intoxication caused by one's own negligence or recklessness does not excuse the offence, affirmed Justice Muhammad Hashim Khan Kakar in a 3-page verdict he authored.
Economists see little room for growth under IMF programme. Economies stuck in low growth equilibrium as consumers' purchasing power erodes. Exports, energy costs, policy inconsistency remain major hurdles, with the government preparing to roll out its third budget. The economy appears trapped between two competing imperatives. preserving fragile macroeconomic stability to avoid another balance of payments crisis and reviving growth to create jobs and alleviate poverty. If Vladimir Putin's Russia had an official slogan, what would it be? Russia is what it is, and we're not ashamed of showing it. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov once told me in an interview.
Mutare, Zimbabwe, Deres Mutamanjira was ferrying a customer and groceries on her electric tricycle along a dusty and unpaved footpath when traffic police arrested her in eastern Zimbabwe last month. The officers demanded to see the e-tricycle's registration and her driver's license, which she could not produce. She tried to negotiate, but they fined her $15 on the spot.
An election observation mission from the European Union has denied reports of malfeasance in Colombia's recent presidential race, despite rumours to the contrary. On Tuesday, the head of the EU election observation mission, Esteban González Pons, announced the group's preliminary assessment.
For the past 10 years, Uber's annual Lost and Found Index has provided a rather quirky anthropological snapshot of its riders and even a few insights into society. The annual catalogue of millions of forgotten items ranges from mundane modern-day tools such as smartphones and laptops to more eyebrow-raising objects like live fish, an ankle monitor, a toboggan, a package of live butterflies, and a single Louboutin shoe. This year, Uber is using the report to highlight the same old problem of lost items with a new twist: robotaxis. Thousands of items, it's a bit too new for millions, were left behind in robotaxis on Uber's ride-hailing network. In the past year, the company said Tuesday. There were the usual suspects of phones, keys, wallets, passports, and headphones, along with a few items that strayed into the Who Is This Rider category: a set of dentures, an I Heart Hot Dad's bag, and a blue hat that reads Emotional Support Human.
The federal government on Tuesday, amid deliberations over its ongoing austerity measures, decided to extend the operating hours of shops, markets, restaurants and other commercial outlets, citing longer daylight hours and rising summer temperatures. The decision was taken at a meeting of the Committee for Monitoring and Deputy Prime Minister Austerity Measures, chaired by Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar.
In January 2024, the publication Axios reported that the United States president at the time, Joe Biden, was running out of patience with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Israel's genocidal war on Gaza had been raging for months by that point, and Biden was facing public backlash over US support for the conflict. Data storage security company Sierra is finalising a round led by Evolution Equity Partners of at least $300 million at a $12 billion valuation, according to 4 people with knowledge of the deal. Calculist was first to report the funding deal, although TechCrunch's sources added new details about the company and its financials. The US says it has struck and disabled an unladen oil tanker that was sailing towards Iran as part of Washington's naval blockade on the Strait of Hormuz. US Central Command, CENTCOM, said a US aircraft fired a Hellfire missile into the engine room of the Botswana-flagged MT vessel after its crew ignored repeated warnings.
The administration of US President Donald Trump is abandoning the president's nearly $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund, United States Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche has said, on the heels of a widespread political backlash and legal setbacks. "We are not moving forward with the fund," Blanche told lawmakers on Tuesday after an intense and rare backlash from Republican senators. Period.